Hello my dear students. So what we have studied, we have already studied about the magnetic effect of current. In the last class, what we have studied about the construction of a galvanometer and how the galvanometer can be used as an ammeter as a voltmeter. Everyone should practice some questions regarding that one. Also we will share some questions regarding that one also. One more thing I want to share here, that many students, it is very sad, I am really very sad that many students they are not watching the video properly. In the last class I did few mistakes in the mathematical formula, that also many people didn't recognized, and I told you in the video also that check it properly because I have done some mistakes. Just watch it and find out it also. It shows that you people are not really watching these videos properly and very carefully. I think 10 to 15 students, they just have replied to me that sir, here you have done some mistakes, and the rest of people out of 300, I think 310 or 320 students are there, they didn't also recognize that thing also. So let's see what you are doing in the next year, that you are going to appear 21 CHSE board examination. So hope that you can do best. Again, that you know that 2 days ago that annual examination result of CHSE came out in physics. Many students, they have done very well. I think more than 40 students, they secure 90%, 90 marks, means they have all got more than 60 mark out of 70. So if you want to achieve that target, remember you have to watch. We are not, if you are in the classroom then we can guide you, but you are in home, so you should guide yourself. खुद को गाइड करो, क्योंकि आपके पास कोई नहीं है. आप इधर होते तो just do this that or we can guide you, but in this you have to guide yourself, and you should have a proper aim so that you can guide and you can achieve the aim. Otherwise you can't do that one. So let's start. That is a new chapter, magnetism. So watch this. This is very similar. This chapter is very similar to that in electrostatics. So just watch that electrostatic, that notes, then you can easily understand this chapter. All the things whatever there in electrostatic, we are going to repeat that in magnetism. What there was charge, magnitude of charge, here magnitude or pole strength, we are calling that one. So let's start. The very first thing, that magnetism. So in this chapter we'll learn about the magnets. हम किसके बारे में पढ़ेंगे? Magnets के बारे में पढ़ेंगे. How the magnetic materials are prepared and what are the nature of different magnetic materials. Let's start. Just start from some basic properties of, write some basic properties of magnets. Magnets, you have seen that it is a material which attracts certain materials like what? Iron, cobalt, nickel. तो एक मटेरियल है किसको अट्रैक्ट करता है? आयरन, कोबाल्ट, निकल. So we'll learn about that thing. Before that, going to learn there are different types of magnets. Some magnets are naturally prepared also, some artificial magnets are there also. You can see some introduction in your book. I am not going to discuss that one. I am starting from basic properties of magnets. Magnets का कुछ basic properties है. What are these basic properties? So very first thing is that, first point is attractive property. This is the very first property. By seeing these properties, you can show that the magnets, these are the magnetic materials. So very first property is attractive property. So what is this property? The magnetic material The magnetic materials attracts certain elements like nickel, cobalt, iron. This is called as the attractive property of magnets. Magnet क्या है? कुछ materials like iron, nickel, cobalt, it attracts to these materials. That's why this property is known to be attractive property. Remember, this is the attractive property. These are not going to be asked in your examination, but still then you should know some basic properties of magnets. जो मैग्नेट है उसका कुछ बेसिक प्रॉपर्टीज है, यू शुड नो. दे मे बी आस्क्ड फॉर शॉर्ट क्वेश्चन. रिमेंबर दिस क्वेश्चंस मे बी अपीयर एज ए शॉर्ट क्वेश्चन. सो सेकंड वन इज डायरेक्टिव प्रॉपर्टी. सो डायरेक्टिव प्रॉपर्टी क्या है? इफ यू सस्पेंड ए मैग्नेट फ्रीली इन एयर, मान लो एक मैग्नेट है, यू आर सस्पेंडिंग थ्रू ए थ्रेड के साथ आप उसको ऐसे what you are hanging that material, then what will happen? That will direct along the direction of geographic north and south pole of earth. जो अर्थ है, अर्थ का कौन सी डायरेक्शन में होगा? नॉर्थ एंड साउथ. इट विल अलाइन along that direction. आप you have seen also in what magnetic needle also you have seen, it is always directed along north and south direction. It always indicates north and south direction. So if we are suspending a magnet freely in air, then it aligns along the direction of north and south pole of earth. Just write that one. Directive property means, if, write it, I am not writing. If a bar magnet मतलब like this type of magnet, like in the shape of a bar or in the shape of rod, you can say. So directive property means, if a bar magnet is suspended freely, just write it, is suspended freely, then it aligns A-L-I-G-N-S, aligns along the N pole means north pole. Sorry, along the geographic, just write it, geographic aligns along the geographic N pole and S pole, or you can write also north pole and south pole of earth. Just write it. This is known to be directive property. It always direct any if you are taking a bar magnet or any type of not all the types, only the bar magnets. Then if you are taking a circular magnets, then it will not direct along the direction of north and south pole. But in the case of a bar magnet or magnetic needle also can be treated as a bar magnet. If you are suspending it freely in air, then it will align along the direction of what? Earth, north and south pole. Geographic north and south pole. Remember, geographic. There are two poles we are going to study, geographic and magnetic north and south pole. We'll proceed with this one. Next one is, just write one more property. Like poles repels. Like pole repels and unlike pole attracts. Unlike pole attract each other. Or unlike pole attracts. This is one more property, that like poles repel each other. Like poles matlab, this is a north pole and this is the north pole of another magnet. If you will bring together, they will repel each other. Just like the charges, that the similar charges attract each other, repel each other, and opposite charges attract each other. Similar way, like poles repels each other and unlike poles attract each other. You can explain this one, that the north n pole and n pole and n pole, north pole and north pole, or you can say s pole and s pole, that is south pole and south pole. What is that pole? I will tell after that. The north pole and north pole, or north pole के साथ north pole और south pole के साथ south pole will repel each other. Just write it. Will repel each other. Will repel each other. Will repel each other, and n pole and s pole attract each other. नॉर्थ पोल और साउथ पोल दोनों के बीच में कौन सा फोर्स लगेगा? अट्रैक्टिव फोर्स. सो एन पोल एंड एस पोल अट्रैक्ट each other. Just write these points. Then one more property we are going to study about that one. Just I am erasing. Then one more thing. Next one is magnetic monopole does not exist. Just write it. Number 4. Magnetic poles exist in pair. Remember, this is very important point. They may be asked for short question also. Out of these properties, they may be asked for short question. Magnetic poles exist in pair. What it means? That is, you will always find what north pole and south pole of a magnet. Any type of magnet you just take, you will always find what two poles. One is north pole, another one is south pole. Always remember that one. You will never get a single monopole. Even in the case of a atom, that also behaves as a, it has also two poles. मान लो किसी भी एक मटेरियल, किसी भी we can say that one also, चाहे मैग्नेटिक मटेरियल का एक आटम भी ले लो, वहां पर क्या होगा? दो पोल मिलेगा, एक नॉर्थ पोल, अनदर वन इज साउथ पोल. We will discuss about that. Is one type of 3 mark questions is there. We'll discuss about that one, that how the atom also has two poles. So remember, always magnetic poles exist in pair. Always magnetic poles, magnetic का क्या कौन दो पोल होना चाहिए, एक पोल कभी नहीं रह सकता है. So magnetic poles exist in pair. That is also, you can say, magnetic monopole does not exist also. Magnetic monopole does not exist. Monopole means single pole. कभी नॉर्थ पोल नहीं मिलेगा, उसके पास साउथ पोल ही रहेगा. It is always what? Fixed, or it is by nature it is true. And it is also, you can see also, if you go to the atomic level also, you will find it has two poles. We'll learn that one. Just write it. Magnetic monopole exists in pair. So you can write here, if you will break a magnet, if you will break a magnet, it will have two poles. It will have also two poles. Remember this point also. They may be asked for short question. कभी एक ही पोल नहीं होगा, साउथ पोल या नॉर्थ पोल कभी देखने को नहीं मिलेगा. दो पोल कहीं भी किसी भी मैग्नेट ले लो, it will have two poles. So if this is a magnet, suppose this is a bar magnet or a unit magnet, this is north pole, this is south pole, you are breaking this one. आप इसको तोड़ रहे हो तो क्या होगा? दो हिस्से हो जाएगा. Suppose this is one part, this is one part. Here also it will have north pole, this will have south pole, this will have north pole, this will have also south pole. Remember, if you are breaking also, it will have also two poles. It never exists what? In monopole. The magnetic material does not have any monopole. It always exists in pair. उसको भी तोड़ लो. If you are also breaking this also into smaller pieces also, it will also have two pieces, north south, north south, north south, N and S, north pole and south pole, by breaking also. So magnetic monopole does not exist, or magnetic poles exist in pair. Then one more thing, magnetic induction. Just write it. Just you can draw this figure also if want. This may be asked for short question. जो भी मैं बोल रहा हूँ लेक्चर में उसको अच्छे से सुनना है. तो it is really I am saying, I was really very sad that many people they are, I don't know why they are not watching also properly. They are just pausing the screen and taking a screenshot and writing and sending it in WhatsApp. So if you are learning like that, then in future or while going to appear in examination you will face problem. So let's run magnetic induction. So magnetic induction क्या है? Magnetic induction. Magnetic induction. So what magnetic induction means? Suppose this is a magnet and this is an iron pin, or you can say iron pin, let it be. So if you will bring this iron pins towards this magnet and you are keeping this for a longer time, बहुत समय के लिए कि उसको इसके पास रख रहे हो, फिर उसको वापस ले रहे हो, then you will see that this iron piece will also attract few materials. You have also seen this one. Why it attracts? Because magnetic fields of these magnets induces inside the iron. That is called magnetic induction. Magnetic induction का मतलब क्या है? मान लो एक आयरन पीस है और any magnet, if you are keeping a magnetic material nearby it, or you are keeping close to each other, after separating, what will happen? This material also will behave as a magnet. Ab you have also examined sometime also, you can examine that एक magnet ले लो, घर पर कहीं कुछ भी आयरन पीस होगा तो उसको लगा के रखो बहुत देर के लिए, उसके बाद उसको just do separation, then just take that iron piece and you can see that that iron piece will also attract other materials, means another iron material. So that is called as magnetic induction, because the magnetic field of this magnet induces inside the material. दूसरे में चला गया, that is called magnetic induction. So you can see, you can write here by, you can see by bringing the magnets, by bringing the magnets near to a magnetic material. I am just writing very simple language so that you can understand. Also I am writing my own language also. You can also write by your language. If you look at the books, it has written in the different way, but the meaning is same. So by bringing the magnets near to a magnetic material, magnetic field induces inside the material. This is called as magnetic induction. Just write it. This is called as magnetic induction. So magnetic induction means magnetic field induced inside the material. Then next one is, I will write some, these are the basic properties, 5 properties, that is enough. Then write some basic thing that we are going to know. Just pause the screen, write it. Then one more thing, just write it. Magnetic poles. Some definitions which are needed in this chapter, you can remember, that is magnetic poles. Just write it, magnetic poles. Magnetic poles. So magnetic poles, what it is? अभी तक सुन रहे थे magnetic, north pole, south pole. So what is that pole? So magnetic poles means if it is a magnet, if you see where the magnetic field is maximum, कहाँ पर magnetic field maximum और ज्यादा हो रहा है, that is called to be the magnetic poles of the magnet. So you can say here magnetic poles means what? Where the region where the magnetic field is maximum. So just write it, the region of a magnet, the region or the region of a magnet where the magnetic field strength, magnetic field is maximum. जो रीजन में इस मैग्नेट का कौन सा रीजन में मैग्नेटिक फील्ड मैक्सिमम है, दैट इज सेड टू बी मैग्नेटिक पोल. तो मैग्नेटिक पोल्स कहाँ मिलेगा? उस साइड में मिलेगा, दोनों एंड में. बार मैग्नेट का पोल, इधर एक पोल रहेगा, इधर एक पोल, नॉर्थ पोल एंड साउथ पोल. तो इस साइड में क्या होगा? इफ यू आर कीपिंग सम मैग्नेटिक मटेरियल्स, यू कैन सी हियर द मैग्नेटिक मटेरियल्स विल बी अट्रैक्टेड मोर इन दिस साइड एंड इन दिस साइड. इधर थोड़ा थोड़ा रहेगा, इस साइड में ज्यादा मैग्नेटिक मटेरियल, दे विल अट्रैक्टेड टुवर्ड्स दिस साइड आल्सो. दैट्स व्हाई these two sides are called the poles of the magnet. Poles of the magnet. So just write it, magnetic poles. This is one pole, this is one pole where the magnetic field is maximum. Magnetic field मतलब the region where you can experience magnetic force. Similar to electric field. You have studied electric field, that the region where we experience what? Electric force. Similar here also, magnetic field means the region where we experience magnetic field. Then next one is magnetic axis. So magnetic axis, what is? The line joining the two poles. दो पोल को join, the line which joins the two poles, that is said to be the magnetic axis. Just write it, the line, the straight line, just write it, the straight line joining the two poles of a magnet. Just write it, the straight line joining the two poles of a magnet is called as magnetic axis. Is called as a magnetic axis. Just write it, magnetic axis means the line joining the two poles. दोनों पोल को जो लाइन ज्वाइन करता है, दैट इज सेड टू बी मैग्नेटिक एक्सिस. मान लीजिए नॉर्थ पोल हो गया, दिस इज साउथ पोल. द स्ट्रेट लाइन जॉइनिंग द टू पोल्स अलोंग द मैग्नेट. ये दोनों को कौन सा लाइन ज्वाइन करता है? दिस लाइन. दिस लाइन इज कॉल्ड एज द magnetic axis. These are very simple things, so you should remember, because you will use magnetic axis, so you will understand that the line passing the two poles. Then magnetic equator, just write it, magnetic equator. Magnetic equator, just write it, magnetic equator. The line, just write it, the line perpendicular to the magnetic axis and passing through the line perpendicular to the magnetic axis and passing through the center of the magnet. Center of the magnet. This is north pole, this is south pole. This line is called as magnetic axis, the line joining the two poles, and the line perpendicular to the magnetic axis. ये magnetic axis हो गया, उसको कौन perpendicular रहेगा? ऐसा. The perpendicular will be like that and passing through the center of the magnet. Passing through the center of the magnet, this is called equator. This is called as axis. This line is called as axis, which passes through the line joining the two poles, and magnetic equator means the line perpendicular to the magnetic axis and passing through the center of the magnet. That is called as what? Magnetic equator. Then one more thing, just write it, magnetic length. Just write it one more thing, magnetic length. Magnetic length. Magnetic length, what it is? It is the length of the line of the, or the distance between the two poles, you can say. The distance between the two poles is known as magnetic length, or the length of the line between the two poles. Just write it, the distance between the two poles of a magnet is called as magnetic length. Just write it, magnetic length means the distance, magnetic length means the distance between the two poles of a magnet. That is said to be magnetic length. Then one more thing, remember the magnetic length and the actual length of the magnet. Geometrical length, उसको बोला जाता है geometrical length. This length is known to be geometrical length, and the distance between the two poles is said to be magnetic length. This distance is magnetic length, this is geometrical length, and there is certain ratio 0.0 something. That ratio I will see, I will just 1 minute, 0.84. That ratio is how much? This ratio is 0.84. So that no need to remember that one, just remember geometrical length, and this is magnetic length. This is geometrical length, this is magnetic length. The ratio between geometrical length and magnetic length is nearly equals to how much? 0.84. क्योंकि geometrical length थोड़ा ज़्यादा रहेगा, this will be little bit smaller. So you can say nearly equals to, nearly equal, you can say also 0.8 means nearly equal. So it will be, geometrical length will be little bit higher than magnetic length. Don't be confused, magnetic length means the distance between the two poles of a magnet. These are the basic things which we have studied. Then the very first thing which is going to be asked in your examination is that Coulomb's law. Coulomb's law in magnetostat or magnetism. Just write it, Coulomb's law. You have studied that Coulomb's law. So Coulomb's law what? Coulomb's law. Everyone just remember, pause the screen, just remember what was the Coulomb's law in electrostatic. Similar way you can state also in magnetostatic. So just write it, Coulomb's law. What we have studied, if there are two charges Q1 and Q2, then the force between the two charges was the product of the magnitude of the two charges and the square of the distance, inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. This was the Coulomb's law in electrostatic. The similar thing will define here. Just write the Coulomb's law statement. The force of attraction, just write it, the force of attraction or repulsion, the force of attraction or repulsion between the two poles, is directly proportional to the product of pole strength, is proportional to the product of pole strength, and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between the two poles, square of the distance between the two poles, and acts along the line joining the two poles, So suppose there are two pole strength. Let us consider QM1, QM2. This is QM1 and QM2. These are two poles having pole strength Q1 and Q2. Then let us consider, just write it. Let us consider two poles, two magnetic poles. Just write it. Let us consider two magnetic poles having pole strength of QM1 and QM2. Then what is that pole strength? I will discuss that one. The first, just write it. Having two pole strength QM1 and QM2 separated by a distance of R. Separated by a distance of R. Separated by a distance of R. Just write it. Let us consider two poles, two magnetic poles of pole strength QM1 and QM2 separated by a distance R. Then Coulomb's law is given by force is directly proportional. Right? That is just see that statement. It is similar to the Coulomb's law in electrostatic. So the force is directly proportional to the product of the pole strength QM1 and QM2. Force is inversely proportional to the square of the distance between the two poles. Inversely proportional to the square of the distance between the two poles. दो पोल के बीच में कितना दूरी है? Just draw the figure. QM1 and this is QM2. This is the two poles of two magnets or a same magnet. You can say these are the maybe of different magnets or maybe of the same magnets. The distance between them is, suppose this distance is R. Just draw this figure also inside. You can draw, then you can write. So combining these two, what you can write? F is proportional to QM1 QM2 by R square. QM1 QM2 by R square. To omit that proportional, we'll write a constant, proportionality constant. So let's write that proportionality constant. So you can write, just write it. You can write F equals to K QM1 QM2 by how much? R square. Is how much? R square. So K QM1 M2 by R square, where you can write K equals to mu naught by 4 pi, where K is how much? Mu naught by 4 pi. That is equals to how much? 10 to the power minus 7. We have studied in what? In magnetic, in Biot-Savart's law also we have studied. In magnetism, we will take this constant as mu naught by 4 pi. Just write that unit, just copy it that from there. I am not going to write that unit. Just write the unit also here. So K equals to mu naught by 4 pi into 10 to, just write the unit here of yourself. Then mu naught equals to how much? Mu naught is known as permeability. What? Permeability. Permeability of free space. Of free space. Just write that one. So F can be written as F equals to mu naught by 4 pi QM1 QM2 by R square. This is what? Coulomb's law. This is Coulomb's law in magnetic or in magnetism. Magnetostatic or magnetism. F equals to mu naught by 4 pi into QM1 M2 by R square. This was what is Coulomb's law. Just write it. It is similar to electrostatic, what we have or you have already studied. So this lecture is, I think this much is enough. In the next class we will study, just look at the same thing what we have studied in electrostatic. What is dipole moment, how you are finding the electric field on the axis of or in the equatorial line, also in the axial line and equatorial. Just see that expression how you have derived. We are going to repeat that thing in this lecture also. So in the next class we'll study about how you will find the magnetic field on the axis as well as on the equatorial line. So just watch that or just check it once, whatever you studied in electrostatic. And one more thing, just watch every lecture carefully and maintain a proper note. Anywhere you are having doubt, you can share to me also, or you can share to the concerned teacher also. If you are not studying, you will face a problem. Here I'm saying you will face lot of problem while you will solve the questions, because without questions you are not going to secure more than 60 in physics. And remember, it's very easy. If you see the result of previous, it's very easy also to secure 60. It is very easy if you are listening carefully all the lectures and maintaining the notes and you are updating, then you will get, definitely I am sure that you will get 60. And those who want to secure more than 65, then they have to do some questions, more and more questions. So thank you for watching. Hope all will follow the steps and the rules, and hope all are good at home. Stay home, stay safe. Thank you.